Hello, ma'am.
Hello?
Yeah, ma'am.
I'm audible.
Yeah, ma'am. Ma'am, the slideshow again you have to share, ma'am. We
I
can't
know,
see it.
I'm trying to say, yeah. It's I can minimize, no?
Yeah, ma'am. This you can. And then slideshow.
Is it seen now?
Yeah, ma'am. It's seen, ma'am.
Am I audible? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am. Clear, ma'am.
Is it Nikki?
Yeah, ma'am.
How are you?
Ma'am, fine, ma'am.
Your voice is breaking like.
Okay, ma'am. Mhm. But your voice is coming, ma'am. That is
Is
not
it
it.
clear?
Yeah, ma'am. It's clear.
No need to use anything else.
No, 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 no.
Okay.
You're using headphone, ma'am, or just
No, I'm not using. Was planning to use, but
no? Like that only it becomes clear. Yeah.
okay.
We'll start, ma'am. Okay,
How many are
30
there?
people.
We wait.
30 are there, ma'am.
Maybe we'll wait 10, but 2, 3 minutes.
Okay.
Not yet 10 o'clock. 2 more minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hello, ma'am. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Uh, ma'am, we have a new
Good morning.
pattern of exam, ma'am. Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello.
Who is this speaking? Hello.
Yes? All are able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Some voices are breaking. I don't. You have to interpret, no? If I can't hear you.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah.
Ma'am,
Huh?
is it audible? You're well audible, ma'am. Good
Arun,
morning,
huh?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Arun. But your voice is not very
Not
well
well
audible.
audible, huh?
It's like from a deep well.
Uh,
It sounds like from a deep well, I said.
Uh,
now, ma'am?
No, it is better.
Ma'am, your laptop volume is low. Anything like that?
Huh?
Laptop volume, ma'am. Is it low, like speaker volume?
I don't know. That also works, huh?
So that you have to increase. Because we are able to hear Arun and all the other
Okay.
people.
Now, am I audible now?
You are audible, ma'am. But
Okay.
are we?
Now it is better. I am using headphone.
Oh, okay. Okay, ma'am. Use headphone only, ma'am. Better. Arun has gone. Arun.
Arun went out.
I think he's rejoining
No,
again.
I'm there. I'm there.
You are there. Okay.
Arun, I
So-
can hear you now.
Yes, ma'am.
So Arun can get the ribbon for first spotter. Arun.
Arun. Okay. Hello?
Imam will start, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. Arun is going to take this. Hello?
Okay, ma'am.
Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Arun, 18-year-old male treated for seizure disorder.
Seizure disorder. Ma'am, hello.
Tell me.
If some background disturbance somewhere from someone.
Now,
Ma'am, this one. Yeah. Now it is ready.
am I better?
Yes, ma'am.
Am I clear now?
Standard 12.
Continue.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Standard 12 lead ECG with P wave. This is standard 12 lead ECG with normal standardization. The P waves are normal. It is sinus rhythm. The heart rate is around with 75 per minute. The P wave is normal in duration and amplitude. The PR interval is about 140 milliseconds. The QRS axis is around the 40 degree. Sorry, it's normal QRS axis. Then the QT interval is prolonged.
Arun, whenever you
the-
say axis, you tell plus or minus, okay? Make it a
Okay,
habit.
okay, plus-
Plus 40, yes,
yes, ma'am,
plus.
yes, ma'am. Plus 40 degree, ma'am. Plus 40 degree.
Okay.
Then this one plus 45 degree, ma'am. Plus 45 degree. Then
Okay,
QRS
right.
axis
Okay, fine.
lead 1 and EF are both are of equal amplitude.
Fine.
Then QT interval is prolonged, ma'am.
Why do you say it's
So
prolonged?
QT interval is prolonged by eyeball. QT interval is about it's around for so it's around 600 milliseconds, ma'am.
Which leads you measure usually?
Ma'am, we have to measure in where it is longest. In lead 2 or in chest leads V2 or V3 we have to measure.
Usually they say D2 and V5, no?
V2 and V5, okay.
Anyway, you confirm that. That's what we were.
V2 and V5, ma'am.
Lead to V5. That's what.
Lead 2 and V5, okay.
Yeah. If you have any other thing, you let me know.
Ma'am,
I saw
Jayaprakash
in
sir
lead 2.
tells
Ah.
he tells long lead where it is the longest. That's
Okay.
what he was saying. Yeah.
Okay. Fine. Yeah. Just find out what is standard.
Here in almost all the leads it is approximately same, ma'am.
What-
So in
what-
V5 PC,
What is
in
QT
V5 it is
dispersion?
about
What is QT dispersion?
longest QT interval minus shortest QT interval in the same ECG
Okay. Different leads. Any lead.
in different leads. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what is the significance?
So more QT dispersion suggests heterogeneity and increased risk of having ventricular arrhythmias.
Okay. Good. Okay. What other way you can say it is QT prolongation?
Ma'am, by rapid eyeball method, we have to look for QT interval versus if the QT interval is more than half of the RR interval, that is, if the T wave comes more beyond the midpoint of the RR interval, then it is said to be prolonged.
But it is dependent on the heart rate. Any
Ma'am,
depends on the heart rate.
when in the presence of bradycardia, heart rate, I'm not sure, ma'am.
It is there. Just check it. So what else here in V1, V2, V3? What are you seeing?
QT interval prolongation. Then T wave flattening is there, ma'am.
V1, V2, V3.
Ma'am, V1, V2, V3. ST, there is coving of ST segment. Little bit of ST segment elevation is there.
Now, is there any other wave?
U wave is there, ma'am. U wave. Actually,
Whether it
I
is
thought
some
it as a biphasic T. I thought it as a biphasic T wave or U wave. Okay.
Is it called biphasic or bifid, notched T wave?
Notch T wave. So
Biphasic means it should be half positive, half negative, right?
yes, ma'am.
So biphasic. So if it is U wave, in general question, what is the mechanism of U wave? Normally,
Ma'am, it is because of the normally V wave can be seen. Normally they tell its amplitude will be less than 5 to 15% of the T wave. Amplitude of U wave will be 5 to 15% of the your T wave amplitude. That's what Manjuran sir told you in his class. Ma'am. So normally also it can be seen. If it is more than 15 to 50%, it is borderline. But if it is more than 50%, then it is definitely pathological.
So ready. What is the mechanism of U waves? Origin of U waves?
It is because of the delayed activation of the mid myocardial M cells. And M cells, and another thing is because of delayed activation of Purkinje fibers. Both are implicated.
Is it activation or repolarization?
Repolarization. Sorry, repolarization.
Okay. So you know the formulas to calculate QT, corrected QT.
Corrected QT interval. Most commonly used is Bezet's formula, that is QTC is equal to QT divided by square root of RR interval. And that is Bezet's formula, and one more is Friedrich's formula is there, ma'am.
Friedrichius.
Friedrichius formula is there, one more.
It is cube. RR. It's your square, that is cube. Cube of RR.
Cubed.
Okay. So what is the normal QT?
Normal QT interval for male, if it is more than 450, and for female, if it is more than 460.
Anyway.
They
say upper limit, they say what Grunwald says upper limit is 440.
440.
But it can be,
okay.
Yeah, it can be longer, plus or minus 50 degrees of mean value. So 460 milliseconds in males or 470 in females before menopause. Because of hormone, females it is slightly more. But after menopause, they say it is almost same. Okay, as we already discussed about the leads and then the formulas. So the risk of life-threatening arrhythmia increases in idiopathic long QTs when the QTC is more than 500 milliseconds. Okay. So this is supposed to be a congenital long QT. 18-year-old may they present with sometimes even they are treated as seizure disorders. Okay. Congenital long QT is I think
that seizure was syncope, ma'am, or
segment.
Syncope and
means misdiagnosed at seizure.
Segment appears to be prolonged, no, ma'am.
Which one?
ST segment appears to be prolonged, no?
Yeah, we'll little come to that little later.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that was. They are. See, even complete heart block, when they have syncope, they are treated as seizure disorders. So we have seen some patients coming with history of seizures. Then you take an ECG. Okay, resting ECG may or may not manifest. So they may need some triggers to prolong the QT. So what happened? Okay, there are hundreds of genetic mutations you are aware of, no? The 14 long QT syndrome, susceptibility genes are there. And earlier they used to classify up to long QT up to 16 or 17. But now the first 1, 2, 3 long QTs constitute most of the cases, around 75%. What are these triggers? Anybody else can answer?
Ma'am, type 1 is swimming, ma'am.
Basically exercise.
Exercise.
I think you are all familiar with this, no? So
Yeah.
type 1 constitutes 35%. This is what gene?
KCNQ1, ma'am.
Okay.
Loss of KCNQ1.
Okay.
And
Okay.
gain
So
of loss of KCNH2 is 2. Gain of SCN5 is 3.
that is sodium. So these are
Sodium
two
channel.
potassium channels. The most common are type 1 and type 2. So type 1 is exertion, exercise and swimming. Correct. Type 2 triggers are auditory, phone ringing of phone, more common in postpartum period it seems. Type 3 is less common, 10%. So this occurs during sleep or rest. We are all familiar with this, but these are the basic questions asked, and I think you should be following this.
Ma'am, what is the normal QT dispersion, ma'am?
Arun, you know that? Beyond which it is considered abnormal?
Not sure, ma'am.
Not sure. I am also not sure. That
50 milliseconds.
Anybody knows can tell, otherwise. Arun
I
will
think
find
it's
out
50
yourself.
milliseconds.
No? Anybody knows?
Yeah,
50
somebody said
milliseconds.
50.
You just check it. Okay. So Arun was telling something about the ECG pattern. How will you diagnose type 1, type 2, type 3? These are the most common and constitute 75%. Anybody else also can answer?
Type 1 will have broad T wave, ma'am.
Okay.
Type 2 will have biphasic T wave. Type 3 will have narrow base T wave.
Again, you are using the term biphasic. That is Pragati, yeah?
Ma'am, yes, ma'am.
So it is not biphasic.
Bifid.
Bifid or a notch. Notch in the tape. So type 1 will have a broad base, hardly any ST segment. Right? Type 2 will have notch, bifid. Type 3 has a long ST and at the end you have a peak T wave. So they used to tell it is like a bed and the pillow. Type 3 is more common in sleep, no? So bed and the pillow. Okay. Okay, there is a
T-wave alternance. T-wave alternance is all the 3 types, ma'am, or just type 2?
No, we will just come to that.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so what are some syndromes associated? Like top, there can be syndromic long QT. What are those?
Romanoward and
Jervil and
Jervil
and Lange-Nielsen.
and Lange. What is that? Tell something more about that.
Lange-Nielsen.
associated with sensorineural hearing loss, and it is autosomal recessive. Romanoward is autosomal dominant one.
Okay, any other syndromes, you know? These are common, rare syndromes.
Timothy syndrome.
Anderson-Tewell syndrome, Timothy syndrome.
So what is the Anderson-Tewell is what?
Long QT7, it is associated with bidirectional ventricular tachycardia.
It's a triad, no? It has a triad of periodic paralysis, dysmorphism, and arrhythmias. Long QT with
Yes, ma'am.
arrhythmias. But here it is, so they develop arrhythmias, they are mostly asymptomatic and sudden cardiac death is extremely rare. Whereas Timothy has high incidence of fatal arrhythmias. There are some other syndromes like triadine knockout syndrome, which is highly lethal, and Ankton these syndromes. Okay. Next, we'll move on to next disease. What do you see here? Somebody else can try.
T-wave alterance.
What else? What has happened to the QT? When you are given ECG, everything you should tell. What is the axis? What happened? Sudden noise. Okay. Hello?
Pragati, hello.
Am I audible?
Yeah, ma'am, you're audible. I think her network went off.
Okay, somebody else can answer. She is right. T alternance. Apart from that, what else is there? The axis deviation of QRS. Then QT
Left axis is
prolongation.
there. Then, yeah, ma'am, QT prolong.
Yeah. So what is somebody is asking? No, T wave alternance. What does it suggest? See, this can be there in any long QTs or any significance is it indicates heterogeneity in the depolarization. Beat-to-beat variation in the timing, shape, and amplitude of T waves, and it is sensitive and specific for predicting ventricular arrhythmias. So absence of that may tell you that the risk is low, but the presence indicates that it is more prone for ventricular arrhythmias. So here it is macro T wave alternance. You may get micro T wave alternance also.
Micro T wave alternance we get in Timothy, no, ma'am, commonly.
Timothy, what is okay? Timothy, there are very rare syndromes, right?
Ma'am, T-wave alterance is depolarization heterogeneity, ma'am.
Yes. It should be repolarization, no? It's repolarization. Sorry, repolarization. Okay. So what are the acquired causes for long QT?
So many causes, sir.
Ischemia, drug-induced, electrolyte imbalance, hypokalemia, hypomagnesemia, hypocalcemia, hypothermia.
What are the drugs? Did you mention the drugs? What drugs?
Yes, ma'am.
Azithromycin, erythromycin,
First common drugs.
macrolide.
What are the cardiac drugs?
HCQs.
Class 1A and Class 1C.
Class 1A, 1C. Yeah.
Class 1A, Class 1C, Class 3 antiarrhythmics, especially sotalol, sometimes venamidora. Then you have antipsychotic drugs, phenothiazines, tricyclic antidepressants. Then erythromycin anti-malarials. Very common discussion going on now. Then electrolyte abnormalities, hypokalemia and hypomagnesemia. Another important thing is bradyarrhythmias. Even in complete heart block, sometimes arrhythmia could be because of long QT. CNS lesions. So here, all these conditions, there may be an underlying genetic predisposition also. Okay. This is it. Any takers? Silence? Hello? Hello?
Audible, ma'am. Audible, ma'am.
Wait, nobody wants to try. Arun, you want to try?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, toss. Yeah, continue.
This
Rajesh.
is good morning, ma'am. This is showing rhythmship of the all leads, ma'am. So it is showing change in axis and as well as amplitude of the QRS complexes, which are wide. So suggestive of torsade is D pointers, ma'am.
When do you say torsade pointers?
So when there is change in amplitude as well as axis of the QRS complexes, ma'am, and when there is twisting around.
Twisting around. What is it? Is there a specific name for this VT? Polymorphic.
Polymorphic VT, ma'am. Yes.
Polymorphic VT. When do you call it's a type of polymorphic VT. When do you call it is torsade pointers?
When associated with long QT, it is called torsade pointers.
Yeah, correct. Polymorphic VT. Maybe you are seeing somewhere here long QT. This is sinus beat. So long QT with polymorphic VT is torsade pointers. So French word, twisting of peaks.
Was there RNT was there shown in that piece?
Yeah, it looked like that. No? Which part of T it should fall? When do you say it's RNT? Vulnerable period?
Yes. At least latter half of the downsloping of the T wave.
Is it so? Or ascending limb before the peak?
Ascending limb is refractory.
Ascending limb only.
As far as I know, it is ascending limb before the peak.
Yeah, that is a critical period.
This before the peak, ascending limb. No? I don't know whether recently any changes occurred. I don't know. This is what we were. Arun, anything in your EP? Which is the vulnerable part of
that's no. See, I remember same thing, ma'am.
Ascending limb of T wave before the peak, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So,
Ma'am, what is the pause, ma'am? Was it given the shock or?
Which one?
Ma'am, there is one pause, ma'am, after in the rhythm sphere.
Here.
Yeah.
It is changing. Lead is changing.
Okay.
Here, okay. No. It is V1. Yeah, changing. No?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, the lead changes.
Was there? Okay, ma'am. I thought, was there a shock given?
No. Same thing. Okay. That's what we discussed. So polymorphic QT with prolonged QT is generally more than 500 millisecond is torsade. Next, VCG. Anybody else?
Bidirectional 12 lead 12 channel DCG, madam. So showing tachycardia, broad QRS tachycardia with bidirectional QRS.
Yeah, this was discussed, I think.
VT.
What are the features of bidirectional VT?
Axis in the 2,3 AVF will be alternative, madam. Either it will be LBBB or RBBB. Most common will be RBBB.
Correct. So usually RBBB pattern with axis alternates from left to right. It changes from 180 degrees. Changes by 180 degrees from left axis to right axis to left axis. So usually they say it's RBBB pattern. Sometimes changing bundle branch also, but classically RBBB with change in the axis. So the proposed mechanism is triggered activity arising alternately from left anterior and left posterior facility.
Ma'am, delayed after depolarizations, ma'am.
Yeah, triggered activity is because of that, delayed activity. That's is it. Pragati, is it correct or what? Do you have anything else in mind?
Yes, ma'am. I meant if it is early or delayed. So,
delayed. Delayed.
Okay.
You seem to know more than me. Okay. So what are the causes? Bidirectional bleeding.
Digoxin toxicity.
CPVT, ma'am. Yeah, digoxin toxicity.
The most common cause is digoxin toxicity. Most common cause is digitalis toxicity, and this is supposed to be advanced toxicity with a poor prognosis. And in severe myocardial disease, the ischemic or myocarditis or cardiomyopathy, severe myocardial disease. And of course, it's pathognomonic arrhythmia of CPVT and always exercise induced. It may be seen in Anderson-Tawil syndrome and it may be mistaken for CPVT. Anderson-Tawil is more benign, whereas CPVT is more life-threatening. Can also be seen in aconite toxicity, which is used in herbal medicines. Okay. Next.
Ma'am, one doubt, ma'am.
Yeah.
In the previous ECG,
yeah.
Why can't it be ventricular bigeminy? Actually, there is no compensatory pause, but if we argue like that is a VPC.
Oh, when you say ventricular bigeminy, you will have one sinus beat followed by a ventricular ectopic, right?
Yeah.
So here you don't see any T waves.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And QRS is wide also.
Okay, ma'am.
Next. Is it okay? I think we are leaving QT now. QT. Next is, can you take us all simple ECG? Basic simple.
Yeah, ma'am. This short QT syndrome.
That's it.
Should I describe, ma'am?
What are the features of short? What are the features of short QT?
Ma'am, the QT interval is less than 360 milliseconds, ma'am.
360, 330, 320, varying.
Various articles they have given various.
Okay, anyway, it's always better to quote some standard Brown models. Okay, then.
Okay. Then.
Okay, fine. So QT less than 330 millisecond or less than 360 millisecond, at least one clinical criteria like a pathogenic mutation or family history of short QT or SCD below 40 years, survival of VT-PF arrest without heart disease. So if you have one of these, then even less than 360 millisecond becomes a criteria. Otherwise, this is all from Barnard. Most of the things are from Barnard. QT less than 330 milliseconds.
Ma'am, this is QT only, no? Not QTC. QT,
no,
not QTC.
Yeah, QT. Here what they say is there is no change. There is no change of QT with the heart rate. So correction is not really applicable here. So it is QT, short QT. Who described short QT? Who described short QT?
Gusak.
Gusak. GUSSC. Gusak. You know, there are some 5 types also there.
3 types, ma'am.
5 types. Don't worry about the types. Okay, it's quite rare. So other features are you have tall, narrow peaked T waves. Depending on this, they classify. Some will have T inversion, some will have wide. So narrow peak T waves with short or absent ST segments, hardly any ST segment. So 1/3 of them will have paroxysmal atrial fibrillation. And here the characteristic arrhythmia occurs during rest or sleep. Sometimes sudden cardiac arrest due to VTVF can be a first manifestation. Family history of sudden cardiac death is seen in 1/3 of the patients. It's still evolving. Okay. Shall we move to the next? Okay, what are the other causes for short QT? Sometimes we may get
Acquired
short
causes.
Acquired causes, correct.
Causes. Hypercalcemia, hypermagnesemia.
Hyperkalemia, hypercalcemia, hyperthermia, acidosis,
Magnesium.
even digitalis causes
Short QT.
Okay. Should write acquired causes. Okay. What are the ECG findings in syncope? Patient comes with syncope. What are all the things you look for in the ECG? We already discussed two things, long QT, short QT. What are other things?
Sinus node dysfunction, AV blocks.
What sinus node dysfunction? There are criteria for it.
Sinus arrest, ma'am. It pauses more than 6 seconds. And high grade.
Any sinus rate is important. It's all in Brahma. Less than 50.
Less than 40.
Less than 50 without any drugs or no physical condition like athletic activity or physically conditioned. Other than that, sinus bradycardia, heart rate less than 50. Then bifascicular blocks of RP, PBL, HP. They may be having intermittent AV blocks. Then intraventricular conduction defects with QRS more than 120 milliseconds or fragmented QRS. Come to that later. Then non-sustained VD. So other channelopathies like pre-excited QRS, long and short QT, Lugada, ARDC, early repolarization pattern. So this is a very commonly asked question. Patient with syncope, what will you look for in the resting ECG?
Ma'am, acute MI can we include, ma'am?
That is acute. This okay, you may include the acute or chronic MI with QS, old MS, scar VTC. Acute MI is not generally included. When we are talking about syncope, it is recurrent syncope, not a acute presentation. Acute presentation of syncope, what are the causes?
Pulmonary embolism.
Acute MI, pulmonary embolism, valve thrombus, myxomas, paraprosthetic valve thrombosis, aortic dissection.
Cardiac tamponade also.
Cardiac tamponade.
So, I think here when we talk about syncope, it is recurrent syncope, not acute. So, acute MI may not be appropriate. So, maybe Q waves with the fragmented QRS, IVCD, those things are more important. Old MI, maybe yes. Okay. So, here, what are we looking for?
Fragmented QRS in V5, V6.
Yeah, when they say,
Intraventricular conduction disturbances.
yeah, they say even in normal QRS duration, there can be some notching of the QRS, additional R dash or S. So that is called fragmented QRS. This results from delayed conduction in the released or fibrotic myocardium, like in cardiomyopathy. So this additional R dash or a notch at the peak of R wave or S wave, nothing. 2 or more contiguous leads is important in predicting arrhythmias. So when there is bundle branch block, you should have more than 2 notches to say it's fragmented. So what is the significance? It is more sensitive marker than Q waves to detect scar tissue. And it's a predictor of arrhythmic events and mortality, not only in coronary artery disease, also in non-ischemic cardiomyopathy, ARVC and Brugada syndrome. Okay. So next ECG.
Brugada syndrome, ma'am.
Is
This I know you are all familiar with this. Can you tell me? Very ECGs you have seen. But have you seen in the clinical practice?
Yeah, ma'am. A lot of asymptomatic special.
Okay.
This would be a type 2, ma'am.
So how do you classify?
Type 1.
How do you classify? Yeah, tell how do you classify anemia?
Ma'am, type 1 is ST. All three will have RBB pattern. In type 1, there will be ST segment elevation of more than 2 mm with inverted T waves. And in type 2, ST elevation of more than 1 mm, it will be saddle shaped elevation. And T wave may be upright or inverted. In type 3, it will be ST segment elevation of less than 1 mm and saddle tape elevation, and T wave will be upright.
That's the correct code appearance. T wave upright.
T wave.
Anyway. So only type 1 is considered as typical Brugada, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, what is this high takeoff, madam?
What is high takeoff?
What is meant by high takeoff, ma'am?
With high takeoff ST segment elevation. High takeoff. This is a saddleback, right? High takeoff ST segment elevation of 2 mm.
There is J point elevation, no? That meant.
I think so.
Ma'am,
No,
J point
J
elevation will be greater than 2 in all the 3. J point elevation will be greater than or equal to 2 mm in all the 3 types.
Okay, correct. Okay, fine. So anyway, what is important is type 1 only, right? So this is which type?
Yes, ma'am. Unless type 1 is seen, it can't be diagnosed as Brugada.
This is what type?
That looks like type 1 only, ma'am.
Type 1.
Typical type 1. So many times you may think of MI and try to thrombolize or so. This.
Early repolarization, ma'am.
Early repolarization.
Oh, so we are all very familiar with the early repolarization syndrome pattern. See all these things when only associated with arrhythmias you call as syndrome. Otherwise it is pattern. Brugada also, you say Brugada pattern unless they have arrhythmias.
Symptoms, no, like
correct. Yeah. Symptoms suggest of arrhythmias or family history of arrhythmias. Only then you call it as early repolarization syndrome. The pattern is seen in 1 to 13%. So as all of you know, it was considered benign. Till who said that can be associated with arrhythmias? It goes by his name now.
No, what is the name, ma'am? Okay.
Here it is. Yes, Sarkore.
He told that it is associated with arrhythmias, ma'am.
Yeah, he first detected that the survivors of sudden cardiac death, sudden cardiac arrest, had this pattern. So only when it is associated with that, you call it as early repolarization syndrome. Here it is presence. What is J wave? What is J wave?
QRS to T wave ST segment junction.
Yeah, the junction, that is the J point, right? So that is the J wave at the junction of QRS and the ST segment. So
it's called J-wave syndrome also.
Yeah, we are coming to that. The J point elevation of 1 millimeter or more, and 2 contiguous leads with ST elevation usually concavity upwards and prominent upright figures. An inferior or lateral leads or both inferior lateral leads and a narrow QRS. So sudden cardiac arrest with VF or polymorphic VT occurs during sleep. Here again it is during sleep. So ERP with rapidly ascending ST segment is supposed to be benign, whereas horizontal or descending ST segment has a higher risk of VF. So what are the types of ERS? Anybody?
3 types are there. 3 types based on the leads in which early repolation pattern is seen.
Type 1 is inferior leads. Type 2 is inferior lateral, and type 3 is probably even precordial leads.
Type 1 is lateral, no? Type 1 is lateral leads, prevalent in healthy male athletes, yes. So this is rarely associated with arrhythmias. It's supposed to be benign, type 1, lateral leads. I think in that ECG which I showed, it was more of lateral leads. So inferior is more dangerous. Inferior or infralateral associated, it's high risk of PTVF. Type 3 is global, inferior, lateral, and also right precordial leads. This is the highest risk for malignant arrhythmias. It is associated with multi-VF storms. So lateral leads, any doubt? Pragati?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
No, because you said lateral is type 2. I think lateral is more benign. Isolated lateral is more benign. When it is associated with inferior or isolated inferior has higher risk of arrhythmias.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, in this ECG which was shown, ma'am, even chest leads were showing early repolation. So how to differentiate it from pericarditis?
Pericarditis, what happens?
So, if
Sinus
the
type
elevation
PR segment, PR segment change.
PR segment depression will be there or elevation will be there.
And that J-wave is known as fish hook appearance, ma'am. That J-wave elevation is known as fish hook. Yes, ma'am. Fish hook appearance.
Yeah, you can see the notch here, and the PR is not elevated or depressed, or what you get? Pericarditis. PR segment is
depression.
Yeah. Here there is no PR segment depression. Anything else? So evolutionary ECG changes. See, many a times these patients are actually thrombolized in earlier days. They come with chest pain, you see ST elevation, tall T waves. Next day you see it remains same, biomarkers are same, not elevated. So third day, fourth day, it remains same. So there is no evolutionary changes. Okay, the clinical background also have to see. Anything else? Hello? Hello?
No, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All of
You're audible, ma'am.
Okay, shall we move on to the next?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. J wave. What is Osborn wave?
Prominent J wave in hypothermia.
Yeah, same. J wave and Osborn wave is same actually. It is seen at the junction of the QRS and ST segment. It is accentuated in hyperthermia or hypothermia.
hypothermia.
Hypo.
Hypo. There is yeah, hypothermia. Mistakenly typing. Okay, hypothermia and hypercalcemia. And you all know it includes Brugada and ERPS also. So this results from pathologic early repolarization. So you can see this. This is somebody gave a name for that. What is that name you said?
Fish-hook appearance earlier.
Yeah. So there are some common features for J-wave syndrome. So it's more common in males. Majority, 70 to 80% are males. And the first event occurs during first, fourth, or fifth decade. And ECG abnormalities are dynamic. It may be there, sometimes may not be there, and it can be augmented by sodium channel blockers, that is class 1A drugs, and fever. And here the ventricular arrhythmia often occurs during sleep and triggered by short coupled VTCs. So both your Brugada as well as early repolarization syndrome arrhythmias are more common during sleep. So Brugada affects the RV voting. So that is why ECG changes is seen more often in V1 to V3, whereas early repolarization affects LV inferior wall. So ECG changes are seen in inferior hematomas. On to other ECG. Anything else? Runa? Everybody silent? Sleeping?
No, ma'am. Next ECG we are seeing, ma'am.
We are there.
Getting bored?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No,
No,
ma'am,
ma'am.
not at all.
Okay. Okay.
Amit, you can try. Amit.
Yeah, I'll take it. 12 lead ECG, normal standardization. Axis is left axis, around -30 to -45 degree. And there is broad QRS complexes with AV dissociation seen.
What is the axis you said?
Left axis deviation.
No.
-45 around.
AVR is almost.
AVL is positive, so it is towards AVL.
See, AVR is almost minimal deflection.
Yes, ma'am.
Perpendicular lead is lead 3. Lead 3 negative is?
-60. -60.
Yeah, you're right, around -50.
Okay. Left axis deviation with AV dissociation seen, and QRS. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes. And it is a wide QRS tachycardia. So with AV dissociation.
What is the rate?
Rate is around 150. 150 heart rate. And
regular or irregular?
Regular, white QRS regular with AV dissociation, and even some fusion beats are seen, ma'am, in the in the chest leads it is seen clearly. The last one, the last second.
What is this, fusion or capture?
I think capture bit, I think.
So it's a very classical ECG.
Monomorphic bit.
Where is the origin from?
Origin, it's a LBB morphology, so it is from right side, and inferior is negative, so it is from the base or the free wall of the right side.
It's not RVOT, right?
It is not RVOT, ma'am, because it will be narrower complex.
And also RVOT will have right axis towards
right axis, Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So these are the classical ECGs you'll be shown. Hopefully. So very classical, AV dissociation is very classical. And how often you get VA conduction? VT?
30%.
Around 25%. Okay. Reynolds is 25%. Can somebody take this ECG?
What is it, ma'am? VA conduction?
VA conduction, that is, see, this AV dissociation is highly specific of VT, but sensitivity is less because you may get VA conduction, regular VA conduction in 25% of the patients with VT.
It won't be there in all the patients, ma'am?
No,
VA?
not all. No, not all patients. It's 25%.
Deepti, can you take the next ECG?
Yeah. It's a wide 12 lead ECG, 4 channel, wide complex tachycardia, which is regular, ma'am.
Regular. What did you say?
Regular wide complex tachycardia.
Okay.
What it is? In the last few beats, like V4, V5, V6, it is not regular. The RR interval is varying. With the maximum heart rate of 170 per beat, or it's irregular wide complex tachycardia, ma'am. Broad wide complex tachycardia with a maximum heart rate of around 200, and axis is left axis, QRS axis. Few sinus beats are seen. I'm not seeing a delta wave or a pre-excitation, which I expected.
Anyway. I don't know why there is some irregularity, otherwise it is supposed to be VT.
Negative concordance is
concordance cell separation.
V4, V5, V6, it's this side.
Maybe there is some fusion kind of thing. I don't know. We don't see any periods though. Here there is capture.
Irregularity will favor VT, madam.
Usually it is not irregular. It is usually regular. If it is fast rate, irregular, anyway, we consider other diagnosis. Here it's fairly regular, and this is a long strip, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Capture beats without any.
Or can we say, like, during the termination or the initiation of VT, there can be some irregularity, like.
Maybe possible. Yeah, it is possible. So, what are the common causes for wide QRS tachycardia?
Ventricular tachycardia, SVT with aberrancy.
How often it is VT? First.
90% of the time it is 80.
Yes, more than 80%. If there is history of coronary artery disease or structural heart disease, it is more than 90%. Okay. Other causes?
SVT with aberrancy. Maybe because of a new bundle branch block or because of a pre-existing bundle branch block. Pre-excitation with AF.
Not AF.
And pacemaker.
Pre-excited SVT also can be there, no? Pre-excited.
Yeah.
Conduction over the anomalous pathway.
Pacemaker mediated tachycardia.
And QRS widening due to drugs or electrolytes. Patients on antiarrhythmic drugs develops, they can have some QRS widening. And also electrolyte abnormalities. So we all know what are the features of VT. I will not go into that. Anyway, AV dissociation and fusion beats capture rates are highly specific. Duration more than 140 milliseconds in RBBP, more than 160 in LVDP. Left-axis deviation and concordance are positive or all negative. But positive can be because of pre-excited atrial rhythm, that is SVT. Specific patterns. Okay. Next. Next, any takers for this ECG?
12 lead 4-channel ECG. And P waves are not clearly seen. In some beats, it is seen clearly just prior to the QRS complex. And axis is again left axis deviation around minus 60 degree. And it's RBPV morphology. And the heart rate is around 220 to 240 around in between. So and the QRS complex is around 120 milliseconds. So it's so with left axis deviation and RBV pattern with probably AV dissociation, more likely to be a fascicular VT.
Very good. Thank you. What are the other names for this fascicular VT? Which fascicle it is coming from?
Verapamil sensitive.
Verapamil sensitive. And it was first described by this RBBP LAH. It is coming from left posterior fascicle.
Yes, ma'am.
It is described by Bellhassan. So most common idiopathic VT of left ventricle, actually LV side of the septum. So it will not have a very wide QRS, it will have borderline QRS. Right? And seen in young age, majority are males. Most often it is RBPV with left axis, sometimes right axis, away from the left. Anterior fascicle, it's usually benign, sudden cardiac death is very rare. Sometimes it may be incessant, causing cardiomyopathy, and catheter ablation is effective. So first treatment is verapamil.
Yes, ma'am.
So some commonly asked questions about.
In this RBBP, initial R is less than R prime.
I thought you noticed that, yeah. But in RBBP, what happens?
This R will be greater than R prime in VT.
R greater than. But here what happens in fascicular VT?
Here R dash is greater than R.
It is typical RBBP pattern. Good, you noticed it. So there are some commonly asked questions. Yeah. What are the causes of VT? The simple questions.
What, ma'am?
What the causes of ventricular tachycardia? Arun has done
We
seminar.
can
we can divide into structurally abnormal heart and normal heart, man.
Very good.
Yeah, man. So structurally abnormal heart, we can include ischemia, hypertrophic HOCM, then ARVC,
Post-op.
post-op.
Scar VTs.
Scarvity.
Yeah, all that comes under ischemic heart disease.
Yeah, man.
Cardiomyopathy.
And then, then normal heart, normal heart, all channelopathies.
I'm trying to just make a structural heart disease. Channelopathies we just discussed most of them. Long QT, very congenital are acquired. Short QT, J-wave syndrome, CPVT. Then drugs, electrolyte imbalance, CNS regions, and idiopathic. So, what do you know about idiopathic VT?
RVOTVT, all these outflow tract VT, ma'am.
Okay, majority come under RVOT.
RVOTVT and LVOTVT.
Okay. Then, what are the VTs precipitated by exercise? VTs can be precipitated by exercise.
CPVT, long QT,
CPVT.
First, then long QT, which one?
RVOTVT,
One, long QT
1.
Okay, long QT1, CPVT, almost always it's inducible at a rate of more than 120 or 130. And idiopathic VT, outflow tract VTs. Coronary artery disease also sometimes you may get, no?
VTs. Yes, ma'am.
Coronary artery disease also while doing TMT you may get VT, right? And Anderson-Tawil also, very sympathetic stimulation like emotion, exercise can. Arrhythmogenic right ventricular also can occur. Arrhythmia can occur after exercise, but more common in this. Okay. Then opposite. What are the causes of VT occurring? What are the regions where VT occurs during rest or sleep? Kind of here summarizing.
LQT3.
Long QT3.
LQT3, ERS.
Brugada.
Yes, Brugada.
Brugada.
Short QT. Yeah. Long QT3, short QT, and your J-wave syndromes, Brugada and ERS. ERS. Okay. Then, what are the ablatable VTs? VTs which are ablatable. Very common questions asked those days.
Fascicular VT, RVOT VT, and scar VT.
Yeah. Most of the idiopathic VTs which come from outflow tract, RVOT contributes to 70%, LVOT about 10 to 15%, they are ablatable. Fascicular VTs, then annular VTs coming from mitral or tricuspid and annulus contributed about 5 to 8%, then others like pathogen or wherever they come. Most of the idiopathic VTs are ablatable. There is a special variety of VT called bundle branch re-entry VT. Have you heard about it? It uses right bundle, left bundle re-entry, and it's a monomorphic VT seen in dilated cardiomyopathy. You see this type of VT in DCM that is ablatable. Then ARED sometimes it can be tried, but multiple times they learn to do epicardium. So, cardiomyopathies, ischemic, scar VTs, non-ischemic VTs, sometimes ablatable in first of the period. Most often it is idiopathic and bundle branch and others. Anything else you wanted to hear? Hello?
Ma'am, in ARVD, this epsilon wave comes now somewhere near J point only, no?
Yes, yes. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Actually, there is maybe some overlap. No? Like,
Ma'am?
yeah, it comes around the same pattern.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we'll go on to some simple.
Ma'am, how to identify annular VTs, ma'am? Annular VTs.
No, I don't know. Anyway, I mean, we are not that expert. We are sent to the EPP book of such doubts are there. I'm not sure. Yeah, we'll move on to the next. More simple results. Anybody? Simple ECG, everyday using. What's happening? Am I audible?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am. So two consecutive P waves are not conducted. No.
High degree AV block with junctional
High
escape.
degree AV block.
When do you say high degree AV block, brother?
When more than 2 P's are not conducted. ma'am.
So here, is there any AV association?
There is no AV association over
No,
here.
no, actually, yeah.
So there is AV dissociation when the PP interval is regular. RR interval is regular, but there are two QRS morphology. I think one is sinus and another one is RBBB morphology, ma'am. The sinus one is showing QS complex in V1 to V6, suggestive of V1, V2, suggestive of maybe old anterior wall MI.
Why do you say it is sinus error? Is it coming from sinus? Now you said AV
No,
dissociation.
I'm sorry, not sinus. I meant to say from AV.
See,
No.
once it is AV block, you have to decide whether it is suprahisian or intrahisian.
Yes, ma'am.
QRS is fairly wide, huh?
Ma'am, one QRS is narrow and one
It's
is wide,
narrowish. The first one
narrow
is
only.
narrow.
Both are narrow. Second one is bit wide, ma'am.
So first QRS will make the ventricular myocardium refractory, no ma'am? But how come the second QRS is also?
Second is an ectopic. So this, I discussed with our EP colleagues also. Their diagnosis is intrahisian, complete heart block with intrahisian rhythm and short coupled BPCs.
Ma'am, how is the first
Ma'am,
QRS
what, ma'am?
complex?
Which
Narrow, ma'am. It's relatively narrow.
Even I thought so, but there is some notching here. If you see this,
So both are wide QRS.
this is the subsidiary pacemaker, and these are premature complexes. It's very okay. So here, what I want to tell is
that ma'am, that escape capture bigeminy, there will be pause, no ma'am, between the sinus beat and the BP.
So escape capture bigeminy occurs when there is sinus bradycardia.
Notice bradycardia.
Sinus bradycardia. Then the junction takes over. When the next sinus beat doesn't come on time, the junction takes over. So then the sinus capture occurs. So escape is junction. capture is sinus. So here it is entirely different story. It is a complete heart block. Here you can't bring that. It is complete heart block, and this is the rhythm. See, the rate is also very slow, no? What is the rate here? 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's very slow rate with the very short. So what can happen here? Brady-induced.
Brady-induced VTs can happen.
Yeah.
So sudden cardiac death is more common in intrahepatic disease, and very often cause of death is because of ventricular fibrillation precipitated by QT prolongation. So syncope is supposed to be due to asystole. Sudden cardiac death could be because of ventricular arrhythmias. Okay.
Ma'am, that ROT, ma'am.
ROT can also occur. That's what. If the QT prolongs, see, when there is a slow rate, QT will be prolonged.
Yeah.
Your QT is not that prolonged.
Ma'am, I wanted to make one correction, ma'am, that it is a late part of T wave which is vulnerable, ma'am, for that RNT.
Is it so?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay.
T peak to T end interval we call, ma'am, that.
I'll check. Recently I not checked it. They used to do. Okay, fine. That's fine. Okay. What is the diagnosis?
Complete heart block.
Here now you are sure.
Supraisian.
Supraisian, right?
Yes, ma'am. Narrow QRS complex.
Yes, ma'am.
Supraisian.
Okay. So when do you get this classically?
Inferior volume.
Anything else? Here no inferior. What is ventricular phase?
Athletes.
Not athletes. Anyway, one more question I want to ask. What is ventricular phasic sinus arrhythmia? You know sinus arrhythmia, no? What are the types of sinus arrhythmia?
Respiratory.
Non-respiratory, which is C in MI patients. And ventricular phasic sinus arrhythmia. Sometimes you may see the PP which has a QRS inside will be shorter than the PP without the QRS. Usually you say PP is regular incomplete heart block. But sometimes you may notice the PP which has a QRS inside will be shorter than the PP without QRS. That is called ventricular phasic sinus arrhythmia. Okay, this narrow QRS is a feature of congenital complete heart block. What are the features of congenital complete heart block? Another usual question asked.
Ma'am, narrow
Suprachiasmatic
QRS, so suprachiasmatic block.
Rate is relatively
rate
stable.
will be.
Okay, so QRS will be normal, rate is 40 to 60, and they respond to atropine. Both atrial rate and the ventricular rate increases because they are responsive to sympathetic and parasympathetic stimulation. And exercise can decrease the AV block and increase the ventricular rate. So, this is something like your complete heart block difference between inferior and anterior MI. So acquired it's more often, inference in wide QRS rate is less, more unstable.
And what is the cause of ventricular phasic sinus arrhythmia, ma'am?
One they say is because the ventricular contraction has occurred, there is The next sinus lead comes earlier because I don't know the recent theory, these are the old theories. Because of improved blood flow to the sinus node, I'm not sure whether it is now. The thing is,
Ma'am, which one is shorter, ma'am? With QRS is shorter or without?
the QRS within. Suppose this P will be, yeah. Right. So it may be, the thing is, what is Bainbridge reflex?
Ma'am?
Bainbridge reflex.
Bainbridge reflexor, okay. That is
Atrial dilation will cause.
Stimulation of the atrial stretch receptors causing vasodilation. No, not vasodilation. Increase in the heart rate.
Increase in the heart rate. Increase in the heart rate.
Increase in the heart rate. Increase in the heart rate.
Sinus rate increases. So that was one of the hypotheses. I'm not sure. It's simple decision.
When came back.
Junctional.
Junctional. See proper.
There is some group beating, ma'am. That's what looks like.
Some mat, ma'am.
When came back.
You see a P wave properly.
Mat.
Okay.
Mat, ma'am.
Correct. Yeah. So can you tell
multifocal atrial tachycardia.
What are the criteria?
Multiple P wave morphologies, ma'am. Minimum 3.
Okay.
Minimum 3, ma'am.
Yeah.
The rate is around 100.
Rate should be more than 100. 3 different morphologies at least. Then varying PR and varying RR. So where do you see this?
COPD.
It's also called chaotic atrial rhythm or chaotic atrial tachycardia. Multiple sites of competing atrial activity due to increased atrial automaticity. Classically seen in COPD patients. It's difficult to treat arrhythmia. You can't give beta blockers. Correction of the underlying disease on the sheet. Next. This.
Codron we can give. Mat.
Yeah, you can give. But most of the time there is. So it's precipitated by hypoxia and all the drugs, bronchodilators.
Okay.
Ma'am, beta blockers won't respond, ma'am. Well.
No, because most often they have this bronchospasm, no? Respiratory.
No.
Generally contraindicated in these patients.
Bisoprolol, that also.
Calcium channel blockers we can.
Yeah, you can give some. Yes. Okay, we'll go to the next decision.
Atrial flutter with 2:1 conduction.
Where do you say flutter?
Atrial tachy.
Atrial bigeminal.
Why did you say atrial bigeminal? Then the RR is critical.
Atrial tachy with 2:1 conduction.
Pragati, why did you say atrial bigeminal?
See, alternating P wave morphologies, ma'am. The one is right after QRS. It is falling after QRS.
See here. See in V1. Can you see the pointer? Can you see? It's almost similar, no? This P is sitting on the P wave. That is why it looks little different. So this is the P. This is the P. So this.
So same molecule.
There is one more P in between these two, madam.
No, these are the two PWaves, 1 and 2.
Yes, madam. In between one more P wave.
That's part of
That is to T.
T wave.
T.
It's part of T wave. P is sitting on the T and deforming the T wave. So this is isoelectric baseline, no?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So it becomes 8. What is the atrial rate here?
300.
300.
Little less than that.
150.
280. 280.
280, not exactly 300.
Little less than that. Okay. Now, what is Bick's principle?
Atrial tachycardia with
Yeah, atrial tachycardia with 2:1 AV block.
2:1 block.
Because isoelectric line can be seen.
Correct. Yeah, but when do you say atrial? What is the rate? Usually atrial tachycardia. Rate-wise, how do you differentiate atrial tachycardia and atrial flutter?
Usually, the
130 to
atrial
200
rate
is
will
atrial
be
tachycardia.
300, 150.
Usually 250 to
250 to 350 is atrial flutter. Around 200 is atrial tachycardia.
Up to 250 atrial tachycardia. What is Bick's principle?
Hidden P wave in the QRS.
If the P wave is in between the two RR wave, then it is mostly atrial flutter. Exactly in between the RR.
Not flutter. You have to look for another P, which is hidden in the QRS. Correct. So if the P is in between, in a tachycardia, if the P is in between RR, so there will be another P sitting somewhere in the QRS. So here it is not so. You are seeing clearly two PWaves. Atrial tachycardia is to 1 conduction. It is a long arc tachycardia. Is it AV node dependent or not?
Dependent.
It's AV node. It's AV node independent. No, it doesn't need it. It's just happening in the atria. It means happening in the atria. What is the AV node dependent? So AV node dependent. What are the AV node dependent tachycardia?
AVNRT.
Okay, AVNRT, AVRT.
Those two, AVRT, AVNRT, they are AV node dependent. This is AV node independent. Okay. So rate is between 120 to 250. AV conduction varies. Once the rate becomes more, usually AV block can be varying and we have a irregular pulse. Most important differentiating feature from flutter is isoelectric baseline. So vagal maneuvers will not generally terminate and increase the AV block. Then you can see more P waves. So when you are in doubt, when you do vagal stimulation, carotid sign stimulation, then the rate comes down and you can see the more P waves. So it's usually in structural heart disease.
It decreases only ventricular rate, ma'am.
Yes. Yes. Ventricular AV conduction will decrease. So the atrial rate remains same. So then you will see more P waves. It unmasks. This?
Ma'am, that rate is from 120 to 250 written. That is for atrial rate or
atrial rate. When we talk about rate, it is atrial rate. Atrial rate, Arun.
Yes, ma'am.
20 is slow. It can vary actually from 150 to 250. Whenever I say it is atrial rate, written atrial rate. So whenever you say rate, no, it is atrial, no, flutter, atrial tachycardia. It's originating in the atria. So you talk about the atrial rate.
Atrial flutter with
this is classical
4:1 block.
This is very classical.
Varying block.
Is there complete heart block, madam, here?
What is the ventricular rate? There is some variation, almost same. So here the lead is changing.
TR, if you see at the last 3-4 beats, it is
Here it is. Here some change is there. Here it is more. One,
last 4 beats it is
5. Yeah. Here also. There may be some variation. Usually 2:1, 4:1. Yeah. Okay. So here the rate is between 250 to 350. And remember, atrial fibrillation, the rate is 350 to 600. These are all basics, so MBBS level. Sometimes we forget. So typically atrial rate is around 300 and you get at least one conduction with a ventricular rate of 150. Again, vagal nerves increase the AV block and we are all aware of that sawtooth appearance. Counterclockwise typical majority rate can be 10%. Okay. Most often it is ablatable, right?
Typical is ablatable.
Majority of the times. What is this again? Simple, what is it saying?
Coarse atrial fibrillation.
Flitter.
Coarse atrial fibrillation.
Flatter fibrillation, it's looking.
Okay. I don't know whether EP people use that term, but still old examiners keep asking. So there is something called flutter fibrillation or flitter. They use it for both. Somewhere it looks
varying
like
block is there, man.
Yeah, varying block. It's actually atrial fibrillation is forced fibrillary waves, but sometimes it looks like a very formed P waves. So with a rate of around 300. So it looks like flutter. So they used to call it as flutter fibrillation. So some here and all it is not very changing, no? Some places it is looking like flutter, some places it looks like fibrillation. So they used to call it as flutter fibrillation or flitter. When in the last exam they were asking this. I don't think EP people use that. It's old exams. Okay. These are all your simple ones, just for completion. Simple is it, anybody can answer.
This is regular
Yeah,
narrow complex tachycardia.
The rate of?
Not visible.
Huh? Not rate.
250.
Then what else is striking?
Heavy and naughty.
What is striking here?
QRS alternate.
Alternate.
Very prominent QRS alternance. So QRS alternance is it specific for any type of tachycardia or it is related to something?
Some
More
books tell it
common
is
in AV
specific,
and
but it
NRT,
is not so.
No, it is related more to the rate, it seems. It is seen more in fast rates. So it's more often seen in AVRT because of the higher rate, slightly higher rate in AVRT than in AVNRT. That's what is Anwar says. So this is after adenosine. Well, expert, I know.
So there is pre-excitation.
Pre-excitation.
Okay. Why do you say pre-excitation?
There is
What
a
ma'am?
delta wave, ma'am. V2, V3, V4, V5.
That's all.
With the PR, short PR interval.
See, these are
Wide
And
QRS.
relatively broader QRS complexes.
then
Right
And
What happens is STT changes into that. So those are the
T
things.
inversions are there.
So where is the pathway here?
Right, ma'am.
Right, 2-3 AVF is negative. So it is.
Posterior?
Right septo-posterior pathway. Right posterior septal pathway.
Okay. So what is this short PER and delta wave due to?
Accessory.
There is simultaneous conduction
delta
of
wave
impulses through AV node and axillary pathway. So simultaneous depolarization of ventricles.
So delta is due to what?
Delta is due to
Axillary pathway.
depolarization by the axillary way, aberrant conduction of the ventricle.
So it is actually
Aberrant conduction through the ventricles.
it's actually a fusion beat. So how much of ventricle gets depolarized by the anomalous pathway depends on how far it is from the sinus node, how fast it can conduct. So after initial depolarization, it has to go through the myocardial fibers. So it is slow. Then the AV conduction. So it's a mixture of both AV conduction plus anomalous pathway. So it's like a fusion beat.
Concertina effect, ma'am.
No. What is that concertina effect?
With increasing conduction through accessory pathway, the delta wave becomes more prominent and PR becomes more shortened.
Correct. Yeah. Here becomes shorter and the QRS becomes wider. So again here you call WPW syndrome only when there is tachyarrhythmia. Most often it is AVRT, but sometimes it can be atrial fibrillation or atrial flutter, which is more dangerous, life-threatening. That is why you are worried. Otherwise, it is not that malignant arrhythmia. Similar, what else is here in the CCT? It's a narrow QRS.
ST depressions and AVR ST elevation.
Yeah, there is ST depression in most of the leads. So that is a feature of
AVNRT.
no AV.
No, AVRT.
AVRT, because the P wave falls on the ST segment. AVNRT P is almost hidden inside the QRS. The ST depression is a feature of AVRT. Okay. So here the RP is more than 70 milliseconds, whereas in AV nodal re-entry RP is less than 70 milliseconds. Here it is more than 70 plus less than 120. So it may fall, you may see the visible recurrent P in 123 AVF, but sometimes it may fall on the ST segment and cause ST depression inside the rooms. So it's supposed to be grade is slightly more than the AVNRT. That is why QRS alternance is supposed to be more common in AVRT. It's not specific for AVRT. So this is what is the P wave seen in the ST segment. This is the most favorite PCG of examiners. I know you're all well versed with this.
Atrial fibrillation with pre-excitation.
Correct. So whenever you see a irregular broad QRS, rapid, because sometimes the rate is more than 300. So that cannot happen on the AV node. So it has to be on the anomalous pathway. So they call fast, broad, irregular QRS, conduction of accessory pathway. See here certain drugs are contraindicated. What are the drugs contraindicated?
and
Adenosine, beta
blockers.
blocker, calcium channel blocker.
AV nodal blocking agent.
Okay. Which drugs decrease conduction on the anomalous pathway?
Procainamide
Class
and
1A
ibutylite.
Class
and
1A.
class 1C.
Class 1. Class 1A decreases conduction on the anomalous pathway. But both anomalous pathway and AV conduction decreases in
Class
by which drug?
3.
Class 1C
Class.
and class 3. Class 1C and class 3.
Ma'am, can you repeat, ma'am?
Class 1A suppresses conduction over the anomalous pathway.
Okay, ma'am.
Class 1C and class 3 suppress conduction over both anomalous pathway and AV conduction.
AV conduction. Okay.
Yeah. And AV node, you know, beta blocker, calcium channel, adenosine and digoxin.
Ma'am, but flecainide increases AV nodal conduction.
Flecainide?
So only we give in combination with the beta blocker or calcium channel blocker.
Generally, this is mentioned in Brownwald, class 1C. Doesn't specify, it says class 1C.
And in this ECG, there appears to be some P waves are overlapping now, madam. It's like some AV dissociation. In V1, V2, are intermittent small waves.
This one you are saying?
Yes, ma'am.
See, whenever there is irregular, don't think of P wave. Maybe there are
QRS is also concordant in from V1 to V6. QRS are similar morphology, madam.
that can happen. That can happen in that is one exception, no? Positive concordance. Yeah, positive concordance is suggestive of PT, but this conduction over anomalous pathway is an exception. They can have positive concordance.
Okay.
Any correction I am open to. That is one exception in positive concordance. I told him when we describing that VT also. It can occur in pre-excited supraventricular arrhythmias. Area, that is, what is it called? Antidromic. Antidromic AVRT. We can. Here it is regular tachycardia. With the rate of
300.
around 300 regular. Is it wide or narrow?
Narrow.
It is.
It is with 1:1 conduction.
There is some image slurry is there.
Pre-excitation is there. Lead 2 we can see delta wave.
After cardioversion.
Lead 2 we can see delta wave.
So this is pre-excited atrial flutter. This can happen in 5 to 7% of the people. So because it is regular, may be mistaken for VT, but it is the rate is fast, and you see some initial after cardioversion. What's happening?
But how can we differentiate, ma'am? Atrial flutter with pre-excitation?
Atrial
Not
flutter is
simple AVRT.
AVRT.
Is it by rate?
Yeah, rate. Rate. Fast. This. Rate. So usually they will have white. See here it is white QRS. White QRS. White QRS. This is a white QRS with a fast rate. So you will not get such fast rates in AVRT, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So how do you say, when do you say anomalous pathway is a flow risk? You know this.
Intermittent pre-excitation.
The refractory period should be more than 250 milliseconds. So this clinically you may assess by intermittent pre-excitation or disappearance of pre-excitation during exercise or during pregnancy. It's fairly specific but less sensitive. This is another question commonly asked. How do you assess that it is low risk? So if it is the refractory period is less than 250 milliseconds, then the develop atrial fibrillation, conduction over anomalous pathway, precipitation of VF and sudden cardiac death is confirmed. Last one or two ECGs. Simple. Already got bored, I think. Not Nikhil?
Is it junctional tachycardia?
Ma'am?
They are bored of
No, ma'am.
tired.
AB.
No, ma'am. Looking at the ECG.
Okay.
Looking.
We are concentrating on ECG, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, Saroj, why don't you try? Hello.
And this is 12 lead ECG, channel showing narrow complex regular tachycardia.
Narrow QRS tachycardia. The rate of?
Visualized rate of around 160.
It's 200.
P waves most probably they are like pseudo S wave into whether this is AVNRT.
Okay, fine. So what are the features of AVNRT?
The rate is around 160 to 180. The P waves usually not seen or maybe seen in the last part of the QRS, narrow complex. And
Correct. Usually it conducts over the slow pathway, then comes back through the fast pathway. So we'll have narrow QRS. It's most commonly seen in females, young age, and another at 40 to 50 years. and short RP less than 70 milliseconds. So you will not see the P wave which is buried in the QRS. You may see pseudo S into 3 AVF or pseudo R dash in V1. Clinically, what will you get? Clinically, what they may complain of?
Canon A wave, prominent neck pulsation.
Yeah, patient may complain of prominent neck pulsation because atrial contraction occurs simultaneously with the ventricular contraction and you get regular cannon waves called Croxine. So this is pseudo.
Ma'am, the previous ECG, ma'am. Deepthi was saying, why can't it be, ma'am, junctional tachycardia, ma'am?
Junctional tachycardia, how will you differentiate?
Rate is very high here.
Very high. How much?
Don't know, ma'am.
It is around 180 to 200.
Here it is around 180 to 200. Junctional tachycardia unlikely to reach that much. No, intrinsic rate is around 60 to 8. 40 to 60.
40 to 60.
No, intrinsic is 40 to 60, but
Sorry,
60
it can go up, but you may see
up to 180, ma'am.
Or maybe can we do? Can we do carotid sinus massage and look for P wave maybe? No, ma'am. Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Why not junctional?
Here, the second bit is ventricular ectopic is there. If ventricular ectopic comes, either it can start or it can stop the AVN.
It's not stop. Anyway, you can have some differential diagnosis. And this was actually
Here no P wave, ma'am. Retrograde P wave.
yeah. Usually junctional, you may see a retrograde P wave before or after. Need some more.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Narrow QRS tachycardia, usually they may ask you when it is regular, which is AV node dependent, AV node independent, what are the causes for irregular? Irregular is easy. Atrial fibrillation, atrial tachycardia, flutter, varying block, and MAT. We have seen all this. So regular could be AV node dependent, that is typical AVNRT or orthodromic AVRT. It's common. See, majority of SVD constituted by this AVNRT and AVRT. And they will have short RP. But atypical AVNRT, PJRT, they will have long RP. They are also AV node dependent. The AV node independent are sinus tachycardia, including sinus node re-entry, atrial tachycardia, atrial flutter. They are long RP. So these terms you should know. AV node dependent, independent, short RP, long RP. I'm sure most of you are familiar. Okay, last ECG.
Ventricular fibrillation.
Ventricular fibrillation. So if you see fine pituitary waves, 2 millimeter or less, that is usually a picture of prolonged ventricular fibrillation with worse prognosis. Sometimes there is taken for asystole. Usually VF terminates fatally. Very often you say cause of syncope as VF. Usually it is fatal. rarely spontaneous recovery can occur, especially in channelopathies. This is just ancillary to that.
Artifact, ma'am.
It's supposed to be ventricular flutter. Ventricular flutter rate of, just to bring that discussion, 250 to 300 beats. They will have sine wave pattern, pure QRS and T waves, QRS versus the T waves. So usually they will have hemodynamic collapse. So it is difficult to differentiate from rapid ventricular tachycardia. It's only of academic interest because anyway they collapse hemodynamically and refer to RA. Okay.
Ma'am, ventricular flutter ECG you showed, ma'am?
Yeah.
I think some delay in this thing. I think we didn't see.
Okay.
This one, ma'am. Okay. Ventricular flutter. This is ventricular flutter.
Flutter. It is difficult to differentiate from fast ventricular tachycardia. But the rate is usually between 250 to 300. VT up to 250. So by that time they will have hemodynamic collapse. The differentiation is only academic. Okay. That is the end. Anyway, I am not expert in EP, but whatever I know, I told. Any mistakes you can correct me. But Pragati, Nikhil.
Ma'am. Yeah.
Yes, Pragati.
No, it's nice,
No, ma'am. Such classes are they are
Yes,
beneficial, ma'am, because a lot of basics sometimes we tend to answer wrong. So
I know basics. See why there is
yeah.
PR. These are not answered. I have seen in the exams. The basics usually.
Yeah.
If you don't tell the pathway where it is and all that, it's okay. But basics, why there is delta wave, those things are very important. Mechanisms.
We need such classes, ma'am.
Yeah. Many other ECG topic is left, ma'am.
I think I've got most of the things. Arrhythmias, chamber enlargement, and then last time we covered what?
Bradyarrhythmias, everything covered.
Yeah.
Okay, ma'am.
Hope it was useful, not boring.
Yeah, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Very good class, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.